Yo, what's up everybody? It's Turnip, and welcome to another Halo Wars analysis video. Today we're going to take a look at what the game was like before any patches were released. So when the game came out, there were a lot of problems that needed fixing, and a lot of balance issues that needed addressing. So the game technically got a total of 5 patches, but only 3 of those were really around the gameplay, balancing units, or fixing glitches. So our first glitch is with what I call the paintbrush or the area select tool. So you see, if we look at this AI base here, you see how some of those slots are just bright blue? That means that there's no buildings there. So this was an easy way to tell if there were turrets or any building slots up back in the day. This was removed pretty later on in the patch, but you can see here I'm going to drive my Warthog up, and all the buildings that did not have that blue highlight, the ones that just were dark black, there was actually buildings there. So you could see how that would be an unintended scouting tool. Our next one wasn't really a fix, but it was more of a quality of life improvement. So originally, you can see these units, when you unlock them from a base, would just come out so slow. I had about 11 units stacked in there, and they just kind of file out one by one. Take like a second per to come out of there. But in the final version of the game, they kind of just all come out at the same time, which is really helpful if you're in a large encounter and you want to get everything to where it needs to go super quickly. There was a time when you would get all of your money back for recycling a building, all the money you put into it. You see, I went back to 800 supplies. When that reactor costs $250, I got my entire $250 back. But they patched it away. They thought it was too good, and they reduced that amount to 50% refund. So what's the quick maths on that? Is it like 125? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. But in Halo Wars, the amount of money you get back is based on the health of the building. So if it's at full health, you'll get the maximum refund. But if it's damaged, you'll get a percentage back. You won't get the full thing. There's no doubt that Professor Anders is a powerhouse in the meta of Halo Wars. Not as much as the Prophet of Regret, but there was a time when the Prophet's might was dwarfed by the sheer monstrosity that was Professor Anders pre-patch. Let's take a look at some of the shit that they just had to nerf down into oblivion. But it still wasn't enough. So this first glitch is absolutely broken. If you build reactors, and while they're building, if you drop your cryo bomb onto it, what you're going to do is wait for the cryo bomb to strike them all. And then you're just going to give it a few seconds here. But you're going to delete each of these reactors here. And then once the cryo bomb lifts, you're going to get all of that tech for free, and you're not even going to need the reactors on the field. So you can just start constructing, vehicle depots, air pads. You can see here I don't have any other reactors on this map besides the one. So you can just have free tech, and why not, right? And isn't that something? Gremlins used to be Tech 1 units, and this definitely was overpowered, so they decided to change that. But you can see there I have only one reactor, and I'm able to construct Gremlins. I'm assuming this really made the UNSC versus UNSC matchup broken, because you can just go reactor first and shut down any sort of warthogs that they can make, because you just stun all of them. But versus Covey, probably not too bad, but yeah, definitely a positive change to move the Gremlins from tier 1 to tier 2. Anders' cryo bomb upgrades used to be a lot cheaper. Her medium cryo was $350. And then her large cryo was $500. And finally, her super cryo only cost 700 resources. That's pretty damn cheap if you ask me. Medium got bumped up to 525, large went up to 750, and super went up to 1050. They also raised the price on the Hawk upgrade for the super unit. It was at 900 originally, and they raised it all the way up to 1350. So the last Anders nerf I have on my list is they increased her research time. Originally it was at 50% faster research speed, but they dropped that down to 25% to try and bring her more in line and make her a little more balanced. Alright, let's take a look at some of the units now and delve into some of the tweaks, buffs, or nerfs even that these units got. So let's start out with the Hunter Squad. Now, the Hunter's Assault Beam, there was a patch note that said their beam tracking was improved. So I'm assuming that means the ability to switch targets and lock on, but it's kind of hard to tell. I'll let you be the judge. Next on our list, we've got the Covenant Scarab, which got a massive health buff and damage buff. It appears that it wasn't doing as well as they wanted it to, so they jacked it up. Now, this next one may be the most egregious change ever performed in video game history. They neutered our boy Prophet here, and they reduced his speed on land quite significantly. There may have been a problem with some Prophet rushes, just these speed demons all jumping on your base really quickly, so they nerfed down his speed quite a lot. As dominant as Warthogs are now, there was a point in time when they were even stronger. So let's look at some of the nerfs that the Warthog got. First of all, the build time was increased from 22 seconds up to 25 seconds. And then the Gauss Cannon upgrade got a nerf as well. The damage was reduced against tanks and other heavily armored vehicles by a whopping 25%. And if you ask me, they should have done a little bit more with the Warthog because they are still very, very strong in the current meta. Turrets got a buff across the board. Both health and damage was increased by 5% for Covenant and UNSC turrets, probably to help combat some early rushes, I'm assuming. Now, that may not seem like a lot, 5%, but imagine if you've got 4 turrets on your base and they're all focusing down one unit. That's another 20% extra damage right there, so not to be slept on for sure. Elephants used to be a little bit weaker, but they felt they were underperforming, so they gave them a 20% health boost. The Arbiter got a slight nerf. He was doing a little too well, from what I can assume, so they made him take 25% more damage during Rage, and this is still in effect today, so if you're raging as the Arbiter, you will take 25% more damage than if you were not raging. The Grunts got buffed. It doesn't say by how much, it just says that their damage against air units was increased. I'm assuming that's some sort of multiplier. I'm not sure how much it is. The patch notes don't detail exactly how much, but they did get buffed for the final game. Vampires also got a buff. Their tech upgrades, so the Stasis Drain and the Stasis Bomb, now also gives the vampires 15% additional damage. So that totals out to another 30% damage dealt once they're fully upgraded. Quite the buff, if you ask me. Now, this next change is a little more complicated. The grenade damage type got a 25% buff after the patches. It was buffed against Warthogs and other medium armor ground vehicles. So any unit that uses grenades, like Wolverines, Marine squads, Grunt squads, I believe Brute squads also are considered a grenade type. They will now do more damage against Warthogs and medium armor ground vehicles, which I don't even know what a medium armor ground vehicle would be. I think a Wolverine or like a Locust or something. That sounds about right. Lastly, we've got the Chopper here, and the Chopper was made more effective against air. So I couldn't find a real good comparison when I looked at the two versions of the Chopper. but I'm assuming it has something to do with the chopper in motion. I think that they made it a little easier for the chopper to hit targets while it was moving. But other than that, couldn't really tell a difference. Same with the hunters. So yeah, they were made more effective against air. They should have just made them more effective overall, but what can you do, right? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Those were all of the major changes that were brought to Halo Wars over the years. Big shout outs to my members for supporting the channel here, Ronald Miller and Sickle Care Bear. There are a few more bug fixes and stuff that I didn't cover, but you can find all of that in the official patch notes here. I'm going to leave that in the description, but have a good rest of your day, and thanks for watching. This is your boy Turnip. Peace.